All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Citizen Leap Live. I hope you're all good. I hope you're all on MOLA sites. I hope you're enjoying being outdoors. And we are going to try this as one of our new concepts, which is live from site tours. You might have seen we've advertised a pre-recorded tour that goes out later today, and if you can tune into that as well. There is a feedback form I will send out, but without further ado, I will hand you over to Caroline Barry-Smith, our project manager, and the live Leap site tour.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the live site tour. First of all, just a quick bit of admin. Today, we are live, so I might get carpet bombed by a seagull. I might get tripped up by a dog. Someone might run past and swear very loudly. I will pre-apologise for anything that goes wrong. But that's the joys of, and that's the risk and the thrill of doing a live site tour. For a bit of admin and housekeeping here, everybody who's joining us on YouTube today, I cannot see you. So when I ask questions or you want to ask questions of me, please write in the chat box below here. In the chat box, then Grant, who's in the Citizen Southwest Team HQ office over at Fort Cumberland, will relay those questions into my ears and then I can answer them. However, we also have two VIP guests today. So we can see, you should be able to see pictures of Mariam and Antonia, and they, as VIP guests, don't have to bother tapping away. They can just ask me directly any questions or answer anything that I ask. So we have our two VIP guests plus our MOLA family out there in YouTube world. Now, first of all, everybody who is watching, I'd like you to get on your keyboards for starters and tell me, where am I? Who knows where I am? If you don't know, please say, because I need to know that as well. And Grant will feed and relay to me any answers that are coming in. So if you can look in the comments box and tell me or answer my question, where am I? And for those of you who think you are clever cookies, yes, I am on a beach. I was thinking kind of geographically. Geographically, where am I? And as you can see, it's a very, very lovely day. I unfortunately did choose high tide. There's a lot of features sunken out there. But let's see if anybody comes in with any answers to the question, where am I? Does anybody know? Mariam, do you know? So, oh yeah, we do have some answers in. So at the beach, close to the New Forest. Any others coming in? Tash says she can see dolphins. Very, very clever of you. Yes, I agree. I do see dolphins as well. Not ones with beating hearts. They're very different kind of dolphins. But yes, so yes, at the beach, obviously at Lepe. For reference, we are at Lepe Country Park. This section of beach is at the sort of the southern end of the New Forest. If anybody's been to Bewley Motor Museum or Buckler's Hard, that's probably the closest big popular site. For general global reference, Isle of Wight is that way, Scotland is that way, Brighton is over there, and Bournemouth is down there. So that's where we are at the beach in Lepe, on the southern part of the New Forest, on the tiny bit of or Okay, so now I'd say, Antonia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Lovely. So in this 20 minutes, I will tell you two stories, but you need to tell me which order they are going to be in. So there is a nice flat pan piece of concrete with lots and lots of bits all around. I can tell you first the story of the phoenix that never flew. Or there's this other flat pan piece of concrete just here. Oh, look at it, it's lovely. And I can tell you about the chocolate block you cannot eat. You can get both stories, but which one do you want first? The phoenix that never flew or the chocolate block you can't eat?
Definitely the phoenix. Definitely the phoenix, please.
Cool, lovely. Excellent choice, madam. The phoenix that didn't fly. Right, so over here, we have here, it's called the Phoenix Caisson construction site. Now this, 1 second, is for the other story. So I'm just going to put this back. In our little place here, and that gives me two hands to hold on to my earphones and my skirt on this windy day. So with this section here, as you can see, we have actually massive sections of sort of like, they look like bastions here, all down the side and all down this side here. And then further on, there are flat, large sections of concrete. What this is called a Phoenix caisson construction site. Now, it's all very well. You've seen what could arguably be the best bit of Saving Private Ryan, i.e. the first 15 minutes, where all the troops are landing on the beaches. They're all taking over the beaches, the Americans, the British, the Canadians, and then they start to move inland. However, to actually control the zone, control the area, and resupply, and really make a holding on the beaches in Normandy, you need more than just your landing craft. You actually need more supplies, more refills, and that has to be done by the regular Navy. For the regular Navy, they've got regular ships, and there is no decent port or harbour over on the French side, over on Gold Beach, over at Utah Beach, over Omaha, Sword, etc. There is nowhere where a regular ship can go. It's only really for landing craft. So it was decided in the Quebec Conference in 1943 that we need to make a harbour. And if we can't have one there, we need to build it here and get it over and across. The harbour, we needed all the British harbours, all the dry docks, and then 3 purpose-built ones down the beach along here. So one at Lepe, over at Gosport, and then over at Hayling Island, to construct about, I think it was 147 massive pieces of concrete, like big, massive bricks. So these Phoenix caissons decided, Quebec Conference 1943, in the group chat, how long do you think from inception, like the concept of yes, we're going to do it, between Churchill and Roosevelt, to completion and ready to roll, did that take? Think of these days, especially the developer services team. How long did it take for the planning applications to go through, for all the mitigations, all the paperwork, etc.? How long do you think it took for Churchill and Roosevelt to turn a concept into reality here? Can you put it in the chat box? There'll be a slight delay because everybody's like having a think. And there's also a slight lag in the actual reception itself. So there'll be a slight delay, but have a think. And then Mariam, how about you? What do you think? How long would it take to do this, plan it to execution?
I'm going to take a random guess of 1.5 years.
1.5 years, 18 months? That's a fair guess,
Roughly.
yeah?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, we've got 14 months. And we go with 5 months. 4 years. 1 day. Quickly. Excellent job. Quickly is a good answer. Actually, the answer is this was the concept came about August 1943. Finished, completed, ready to roll, with production fully going December of the same year. So less than 6 months. So less than 6 months, this whole massive area, and we can't run up it for this section, but this whole massive area just took 6 months essentially to be ready and completed. And each platform had a massive Phoenix caisson on. There were 6 platforms, and we didn't build one caisson, take it out, next caisson, take it out. All these were built at the same time. These massive structures had air chambers in. So the idea was they were completed over there, and each one of them was towed and winched. Now, can you see these blocks here? Most people go, just a concrete block. But these were the blocks that held the winches. You had to have massive winches on these blocks with engines on them, and it was these engines and winches that pulled blocks to this direction, to this spot here. And this is the launch area. So the launch area have a huge block to be put on these sections here, just out here on the water. And then you can't see it today because right now it's very high tide. There are slips that go out into the sea, and those concrete slips push the blocks out to sea. These blocks then were floated over to Southampton to have their finishing touches and so on put on them. And then these blocks were sent out to Selsey Bill. Now, in each block, there was air. At Selsey Bill, all that air was filled and replaced with water, and they were sunk, and they were kept quiet and safe until the call for D-Day. And after the beaches were secured, air was repumped back into these blocks. They were floated and sent back down. They were called Phoenix caissons. Now, the Phoenix caissons were the breakwater, the bit that sat around Mulberry Harbour to make the seas nice and calm. And then you have the other bits that came in. Do you know what the other bits were? Because they all had code names. So we've got the Phoenix caisson, but anything else that was used to build and make mulberry, what were the other bits called? Any idea? I think if you've got anyone on the group chat who'd like to type it in. And Antonia, any idea of bits of Mulberry Harbour? Because it wasn't just the Phoenix caisson. What else was there?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah.
Guess. I thought I'm going to say something really silly, so maybe I should. Well, I feel like going to just say sand. Is that on your list?
No,
or beechwood?
No,
beechwood.
Beechwood. The other sections, we had code names that are Bombardians. So they were parts of the floating breakwater. The gooseberries as well were the obsolete merchant ships that were also used as the breakwater. We had the pierheads, things called beetles, other bits called whales. There was other bits, there was rhinos, there was buffers, all these sections that even I have to double check on my notes here. Has anybody written in and said any of those sections? Because those are the sections that you'll find if you've ever been to Normandy. If you've ever been to Normandy and you see big sections along the beaches of Arromanches, that's Gold Beach, and that's where Mulberry Harbour was, at Gold Beach, and this was one part of it. After these 6 caissons out of the original 147 were launched, this site ceased to be useful. It was just left. That's it. So once the job was done, the job was absolutely done. It has never been reused since. This just becomes part of what is now Lepe Country Park. So we have one very specific function at one time and between very specific months, which for coastal climate change monitoring is great because we have this fixed point, a really great fixed point that we know this was built here at this time, and we can check coastal change and climate change and coastal erosion from this site, from an extremely fixed point, which is lovely. Okay, so this is, yes, a phoenix that never flew. It was a floaty phoenix. And if you come down, look on this area here, we still have some original bits. Sorry, it is high tide, so we can't see the full slipways, but you still have all the original metalwork from the slipways down here. You still have a lot of the links and the chains. There's still a lot of metalwork on the beach, and like I said, a vast amount of concrete that goes all the way along and all the way up the beach into the distance for these 6 platforms. Okay, if you ever go to Normandy and you see them or see these massive caissons on the beach, they all had numbers on them. And I know the caissons that left here were numbers 111 to 116, 2 of which are still on the beach over there and can be identified with their numbers. 1 is still at Selsey Bill. When they sunk it, they couldn't get it out of the water. It was sucked into the mud and stayed there until today. Okay, that's one site. Now, your second option. This is the chocolate block you cannot eat. Now, for the chocolate block you cannot eat, I'm just going to have to grab a little prop I have down here. Now, for the chocolate block you cannot eat, and this prop, we need to... First of all, to the right, you have what's called 2 dolphins. Now, as you can see here, the current is quite fast. And in order to get a landing craft slipway, in order to get these dolphins to actually help you more straight. And these dolphins, to moor them to sight, it's actually very difficult because the waterway here is very, very fast. So although people think, oh, you tie a boat to it, actually you don't. You actually use them as a pivot point. So you put your landing craft against the dolphin and pivot on the dolphin itself to push your landing craft into place. I did something quite similar in that car park with the sit-down vehicle. And if Ruth is watching, I still owe you paperwork for that. Sorry about that. It's just a little scrape. But with this site is actually pre that site. This was the year before. So after Dunkirk, we left the beaches. What year did we leave the beaches of Dunkirk? What year? Can you write down in the group chat? Sorry, in the comments page. What year did 300,000 troops get rescued from the beaches of Dunkirk? Anybody know? Because we have to go back in time from the Phoenix caissons to an earlier part of the war to tell this second story. Anybody have any idea? And any dates coming in on the group chat? Everyone's coming in. Okay. So some people are coming up with 1940. That's lovely. Maybe you in agreement with that?
Very random question. My history is horrible. I have no guesses.
That's okay, no problem. So yes, it's 1940. 1940 is the time when we had to rescue, or Church had to rescue British troops from the beaches. British actually and Allied forces off the beaches. From that moment onwards, the British were always trying to find a way to get back. If we can't get back to Europe efficiently, succinctly, then we cannot win or get any kind of advantage in the Second World War. So, for that purpose, has anybody been to Normandy? Has anybody been to the beaches around Arromanches? So that was Gold Beach, or Sword Beach, Juno Beach, Omaha, or Utah. If anybody's been, please write yes in the chat. If you haven't been, I would suggest you go on a cycling holiday over there, because this is the only beach I know where I can freely cycle along the beach without being exhausted or knackered or have to push very much. If you have been along that beach, you'll also know that the sand is highly packed. So actually, when choosing a good place to land, Normandy was absolutely perfect for an amphibious assault. So for landing craft, great stuff. You can actually get all your troops in, they can go out fighting. But the problem is loading up this side. This beach is soft. It doesn't really work in the same way. And to get all your troops and your armaments and your men, and your tanks and so on onto landing craft, you can't do it on these beaches. They had to be made harder. So combined operations in spring 1942 decided we need harder beaches. How do you make a beach nice and hard? We use some concrete. So this is a concrete apron. And what used to happen is your troops used to come along and your tanks, and as they drove up, they would drive up to this point and then they would reverse. And they reverse beep, beep, beep onto a landing craft. They're all these concrete hardening mats are shaped, ready for reversing. Anybody know why they reverse loaded? Any in the comments book? In the comments corner. Anybody know why there was a reverse protocol for all of this? Some people are right. It's good comments. So, and there are a few more coming in. Lovely. Mainly, it really is so you can come out fighting. If you're reversed in, when you arrive on the other side, you can go straight out. So we have these special aprons that are particularly shaped. They make on other areas along Gosport excellent car parks because everyone's cars are parked on the angle. And partly the reason they're parked on an angle is because of the way the concrete is shaped. And then you have, see down here, all these hooks. All these hooks. Because I've got a little example here. If you look down here, if you have a harbour wall, a harbour wall is no good for a landing craft. If you have a beach, a hard beach, you can come up along the beach, deploy your little bow door, come along with your tank reverses on, and then you can go off. But with a harbour wall, you can't do that. And a hard concrete apron, you still can't do that because there's no way for that little bow door to deploy. And it takes too long to crane everyone on. So the rest of the beach had to be hardened. And it's very difficult to harden a beach because concrete takes hours, days to dry. This beach has a tide that turns about every 6 hours, so it's not going to work. So instead, Major Vasselsteer Webster came up with an idea to create what are now called chocolate blocks. Can you see, and can you tap yes if you can see them, so we know you can see them okay? These unusual shaped pieces of concrete that look a bit like a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, it's
If
very
there's anybody that
visible.
can't see it, do please let me know.
Yeah.
So these pieces of chocolate.
You can see them very well. Look like dairy chocolate milk.
Yeah. So both of you, Mariam and Antonia, can you see them okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
see.
really good.
Oh. With these blocks, they had, can you see here? There's a tiny bit of red, and that red is a metal hook that actually goes all the way through, and they hooked onto the metal hooks along here, all the way along the site. And those metal hooks hooked onto the chocolate blocks, and they went all the way out down the beach to harden this beach. So they went down to harden this beach on these chocolate blocks. Any idea why, Mariam and Antonia, why chocolate block shape? But couldn't they just do slabs? It'd have been easier just to do slabs.
Is it better grip or something? I would
Grip,
hazard
yeah.
a guess for grip.
Okay, so the ones going this way, certainly it was an advantage to have a grip. So, yeah. What about the ones going that way?
Easier to maybe drive on or load and unload.
Oh, it's something a bit different. It's actually to do with the sea,
Yeah.
to help
to do
the
with the
water channel
water.
out.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so you've got
Yeah.
one way, and that's why it's a chocolate block. You have one way, which will help grip, and the other way will help water channel out so it doesn't pool underneath. Added to this, it also makes a stress point where it will break. If you have random concrete in slabs, it can crush rather than break in specific areas. But if you create these weak points, then with those weak points, you have a guaranteed and regular area where they can break and be replaced. So, with all this on the beaches, these beaches were ready to go. Remember, this was planned by combined operations in the spring of 1942. This hard, codenamed Q2, was fully functioning by December of 1942. So not actually for D-Day, but as part of D-Day. So we had near 2,000 troops leaving from this site. Then they went over, they did various shuttle runs, then they prepared for D-Day. So you had encampments all in the New Forest, men all ready for what's incredibly a surprise operation. Not only that, the Phoenix caissons, it was a secret operation. There are very few photographs of this site. Nobody knew about it. I still can't get my head around how big the caissons were, and this was a secret operation, and that this was all a surprise. The Luftwaffe were aware of stuff going along on this beach because we can see aerial photos that they've taken, but nobody really knew. Just the almighty awe of what was being planned and how fast it was being planned. So this is the story of the chocolate blocks you can't eat. And now when you see these, you'll never forget the name. And the phoenix that never flew. So, has anybody got any questions about the site? Whilst you think about questions, we're going to walk a little bit this way. So this is your Q&A section. So you're very welcome if you have any random thoughts. But at the same time, I want to take you up to the other end. Now, the other end is technically not the other end anymore. Whilst I talk, please do write in the comments box if you want to ask questions. Up the other end is actually only 3 construction site points up. There were originally 6, like I said, but the other 3 have been caught out by one thing that we just can't stop, and that is modern coastal erosion and modern climate change. So what's happening now is the area, the landowner, so the landowner is the Cadlands Estate, the manager is Hampshire County Council and Lepe Country Park. We're always looking at these sites and wondering what can we do to make it first safe, and secondly, keep the heritage itself. I remember Carenza Lewis, she did a survey back in 1990 of what was left. there was so much erosion going on that eventually it was decided that some area at the ends had to be crushed. So we have a lot of crushed concrete for the first 3 caisson construction platforms over there. And then after that, we've got these other 3. The good thing was that crushing motion actually helped save the rest of the site and kept it going a bit longer. But unfortunately, it is starting to go even up at this point, which I'm going to take you to now. And apparently, we do have some questions coming in as well, which Grant is relaying into my ear whilst I talk. So in terms of photographs of the site itself from 1940, we do have some pre-war ones. There are some that are from a bit further down when we're in a more defensive position, so defensive batteries. But actually, no, there are very, very few. There's a couple of photographs further down at the point here, but that's related to the Pluto line. So the fuel line that went under the sea from here down to Cherbourg, the Pluto pipeline did have a few photographs, but they're down there. They're not here. The majority of work happened after D-Day itself. So the month after D-Day, this was mostly an American embarkation area, and there was no photographs. There just wasn't. And even down at Lepe, sorry, not at Lepe, at Gosports, at the construction site down there, I've spoken to old veterans, and they said we weren't allowed to take photographs. This was purely secret. And then kids that live down there, I've taken their oral archive, and they said they didn't know what was going on. There was just men doing stuff. So in terms of photographs of this site, this one's the least photographed of them all. We do have some footage of a caisson being launched at Hailing Island, but that's it. Are there any more questions coming through, Grant? Cool. So with this last few minutes, unfortunately, the joys of a physical site tour is I've got to do all the walking, but you can just sit there. So we are almost here at the end of the site. But Mariam and Antonia, do you have any questions?
Well, actually, I have one. I don't think you've already answered it, but how long is the whole site? Do you know? It seems a huge area.
Off the top of my head, I cannot tell you, but I'd say it is 500 meters. It's long, really big.
Gosh, amazing.
Yeah, it's really big. So at the moment, I've just come to the end out of the 6 Felix Caisson platforms, I've just come to the second one. So yeah, it's a lot. Right now, if we go over here, I am going to have to take the camera off Therese. And give you a tour. So if we come along here, can everybody see? This is the area where we have erosion, but we also have a lot of the destruction, not destruction, it's management. It's management of decay from 1990s. So all of this area was purposely crushed, and it's likely to go through another crushing procedure soon. But this crush did save the rest of the site. The problem with the crushing is you can lose things. You can lose things that make this site human, make this site real. And the one that I want to show you right now is just over here. Because since the dawn of time, I believe, everybody should have this. Everyone has a garage with concrete, and a cat has run across the concrete before it is set. I don't know what it is with men, sorry, with human beings, not men. Men, women, and concrete and cats. But can you see down here? We have footprints, and it looks like someone's stepped onto this and had a panic and thought, "Oh, no way," and then dived off. And if we put my foot down here, I'd say they're about a size 7. So we have a lot of these human features. But these human features that give us this lovely idea of what life was like down here and the people, and gives it that human touch, are right next to areas like this, where we have serious coastal erosion going on and climatic changes which will tear out the foundations of this site, and then the platforms will collapse. So there is a plan over this September coming to make sure we work with volunteers to record features such as this before the site gets crushed for good, because eventually this lot will all go, but we have opportunities right now to get those little bits of information as much as we can whilst it's still there. Okay, so now I will turn the cameraman duties back over to Therese. And do you have any more questions? If anybody does, you can put them in the chat box. But also, if you like what we've been doing and like what we've been up to, and you want to give us some love, please press that like button underneath at the bottom of the page, and the subscribe button for YouTube footage and reminders and notifications you get for Citizen. We pump through quite a lot at the moment. So please press the subscribe button and the like button to help give us a hug. I'm worried Therese is right on the edge of the water, so we're going to move this way a little bit before she becomes an example of coastal erosion. And we're going to walk back this way. So as we walk back this way, if anything comes to mind you'd like to talk to about, please put it in the comments box. But also, if anything comes up that you think about later, if you later on think, oh, I want to ask that question, you can always come back to this YouTube channel and pop it in the comment box, and I'll have a look and answer them later today. As we go down here, as you can see, it's a lovely day. It is windy. So with live TV, I have now learned I must wear shorts underneath my dress. But I do hope you have enjoyed it. So now, Mariam and Antonia, do you have any other questions or anywhere you'd like me to point the camera?
Mariam, anything?
A random one. Going back to the phoenixes, I think it was quite random how they sent out 111 to 116. Was there a specific reason of sending just a random number of them?
Number 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116 was just part of the bigger picture. So further down in hailing, they're basically all numbers. Every Phoenix case all made had a individual number. There were actually 147 in total. So this was just out of 147. This was number 111, 112.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of those platforms just here. If I turn Therese around and look, that is one platform where we've been from the footprints up to this point where you've got a small ridge. That's one platform site. There's 6 of those plus the launch sites. Is there anywhere anybody would like me to direct the camera before we finish for our shoot today? If you'd like to say, please say it now. Otherwise, we will just drift back slowly. And then Therese and I are going to get ice cream.
Oh,
And a bit of coffee cake.
enjoy. It's just one question.
Are we
Who
all good?
manages? Oh yes,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, who manages the site now?
Who manages the site? Right. So this is owned by the Cadland Estate to low tide. After low tide, it becomes the Crown Estate. There's a misconception that the Crown Estate own all the beaches, but actually they only own 55%. The rest are in private ownership. So this is still the Cadland Estate. Lady Gilly Drummond, she's an absolutely fabulous lady who loves her site and just lives in the New Forest just over the back there. But actually the site is managed and cared for by Hampshire County Council, and in particular Lepe Country Park. So the country park look after the day-to-day access to the public. It's lovely that private owners like Gilly Drummond opens it to the public for us to enjoy free as much as we like. County Council manage the day-to-day sites, and then place people, the planning authorities like New Forest National Park Authority and so on, help out with planning permissions and site use, etc. The only one that's technically out of the jurisdiction is that second, the outermost dolphin there. And the only reason it's outside technically of ownership and jurisdiction of this estate is because it's after low tide, it's behind low tide. So at very, very low tide, that final dolphin is still in water. So it technically belongs to the Crown Estate, and it is the business of ABP, the Associated British Ports, so Southampton Port. and if it ever becomes a shipping hazard, they'll knock it down. It's going to go itself anyway, but actually that's the only one technically outside the authority of Hampshire County Council and this national park. So it's a layered approach.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time and for this experiment. We didn't know what was going to happen. We had hoped it would work out. I didn't get carpet bombed by a seagull, so we're all win. And I do hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. We'd love to hear your feedback and to help us practice live site tours, because they are very, very new to us, but they are exciting and they're quite fun. It's quite odd. I feel very kind of Laura Koonsberg, like I'm going to say, to the studio.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that. I will be sticking an eval form into the group chat that you guys can. We need you to fill in just so we can get some feedback on how this has gone. I saw in the chat a few bits and pieces, but I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you can join us for the next one later on today for the Festival of British Archaeology. But thank you all for joining, and I will see you later, most likely. And that's it. See you later.